Okay. Tonight on Proxenos. In Asia, North Korea fires a ballistic missile over the nation of Japan, sending citizens in Tokyo into panic and prompting condemnation from neighboring countries in the region. In Europe, Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank dominate financial news as investors and speculators reflect on the potential of a Lehman Brothers moment. And in the Americas, the death toll for the destructive Hurricane Ian surpasses 102 people, as rescue crews continue to go door to door in hopes of finding survivors. In the UK, Liz Truss walks back key parts of her cabinet's ambitious tax cut plans. The Truss cabinet has encountered frustration from both Tory MPs and the Bank of England over her reckless fiscal policy. I'm Haydn DePriest, and these are tonight's top stories. We will be joined by Michael Petroselli in a moment, I am sure. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to get into this Liz Truss business. That's the first on the agenda. Because I'm not sure that we actually have listeners, or that I don't have anybody to talk about this with at the moment, I am going to be reading from the Wall Street Journal article. Just word for word. The culture is live. We are live, that's true. Concerns about Credit Suisse mount after debt slide. Investors and analysts call on the Swiss bank to move faster with cost savings, fresh investor capital. Credit Suisse Group AG came under renewed pressure over its financial health after the value of its risky bonds sank and cost to insure against default rose sharply. Get in here, my man. Investors and analysts called on the Swiss banking giant, which combines a Wall Street presence with a global specialty in managing rich people's money, to move faster with cost savings and fresh investor capital to reassure markets. The 166-year-old bank is one of the best capitalized in Europe by regulatory measures, but it may need to raise billions of dollars in new stock to fund a pending restructuring and rising legal costs, analysts say. Its core investment banking business also faces one of the roughest periods since the start of the pandemic from a drought in deal-making and corporate fundraising. Michael, are you here yet?
I am here.
There we go.
I'm
That's
just not
what I
on
like to
camera
see.
yet.
That's fine. We'll take a minute. Everybody is pouring in.
I've been listening. I've been listening to you the whole time.
Oh, the whole time. How did I do?
Good. I got here at like 7:59.
Okay, so you've been here the whole time.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Are you testing me for a dry run? Because a solo show in the last 15 minutes is not what I was planning on, but I was gonna read Wall Street Journal articles until you got here.
No, literally, I was outside and smoking a cigarette, and for some reason did not sit well. So.
Okay. Well, I opened with the Credit Suisse story. Did you want to start with that?
I know.
I
did.
I know that you know I was. Never mind. This man's impossible.
That's what I try to be.
Okay.
Impossibly good looking.
So you and I did a emergency stream about this story whenever it broke. Is that right?
Yep, and Phil was there for the whole thing.
We appreciate that. We appreciate loyalty. Glad to see. I'm sure Phil was disappointed to just see me tonight. But now we don't have to deal with it.
Everyone is disappointed when they can only see your face.
Well, then why aren't you putting on your face? Give him a show.
Because I have to make a drink before I get on stream.
You do not. It is not required.
It is. We're a podcast for alcoholics.
I could probably turn you back up now. I think I'm registering at mid levels. I can probably put you up to 50. Out of interest more than loyalty. Well, that's actually better because I'm glad that we're interesting.
No, so I buy that you were here out of interest for the first hour and a half. past that, it was, that's what we like to see, Phil.
That's what he likes to see. So, Michael, tell me. So, this story has started off about being ostensibly about Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank, although Deutsche Bank seems to have disappeared from most of the discussion as of late.
So I think that's for a few reasons. One, it seems that the main thing for Deutsche Bank was that Deutsche Bank was a comparison point for them more than anything.
A comparison point in what way?
So Deutsche Bank was in a similar but worse, incredibly, situation a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with that is that Deutsche Bank's problem was not solved a couple years ago. It was mitigated, right? Which is a different thing.
Well, what problem are we talking about specifically?
Their leverage problem, the problem with them owning too much debt and not enough assets. Some of that has been changed. But again, it was mostly a mitigation process, not a solution, right?
Mm-hmm.
So when we look at something like that, what you really want to see when you are in a crisis is a resolution to a crisis, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we saw an increasingly, so in much the same way as 2008 bubbles into 2012, right?
Mm-hmm.
That financial crisis has at least in part become this financial crisis. Debt doesn't just go somewhere. Like, it doesn't go away. You can't just take debt and make it not debt. Yes, debt is a type of asset in that if everyone is paying on their debt, debt continues to be an asset. If no one's paying on their debt, that's not an asset anymore. It's just debt then. And when the bank picks up debt on its own, then that is a very separate problem. So while it, Credit Suisse is about to get margin called for a lot of money. Which is bad. You don't want that. Like, I realize that sounds incredibly obvious.
So the CEO of Credit Suisse has already made statements that the bank actually has enough free flow capital, enough liquid capital to be able to manage this crisis. Another AIG type thing, potentially.
I mean, you might have the liquid capital, but afterwards you will have nothing. So you won't be a functional bank. Like, if you have the crisis to manage the crisis as it stands, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then the next day someone comes and asks for all their money out and you don't have the money to give them, which again, Credit Suisse has a high number of high dollar value investors. We're talking people who can pull millions of dollars out of a bank or out of, realistically, it's not like a checking account, right? These things are tied up in brokerage funds or they're going to be investment heavy accounts. You're still not going to be able to give them their fucking money. And as confidence in the bank decreases, more and more high dollar value investors are going to be pulling out.
Frank Agriculture Bank or something that got called on. I'm not familiar with that story. That's interesting.
Yeah. I know that there are several banks that are looking like they may have liquidity problems, which is not good. Like if it was just Credit Suisse, that would be bad. The fact that it is more than just Credit Suisse is in many ways worse. There we go. And I have my camera working. Oh God.
So, with Credit Suisse in particular, it also has to do with the fact that they are routinely falling in terms of profit and assets each quarter, right? We went through that during the stream. The bank seems to be in a fundamentally worse position every 3 months. What's up, Hayes?
It's my cat.
Oh, I can't hear you.
I didn't say anything. It was my cat. Yeah. Can you hear me now with your headphones in? Full civilizational collapse or just economic collapse? Probably neither for Credit Suisse.
Yeah, Credit Suisse,
They
they
were
were
looking
already
at
talking about selling it.
a huge economic shock event, certainly.
They were talking about selling it.
Selling the bank?
Yeah. Which doesn't sound like a terrible idea, except that debt is
Still,
not moving right now.
That would still be an issue in that case.
Right, yeah, somebody else just owns bad debt.
Yeah. Well, that's also the problem with Credit Suisse, is that nobody wants to buy Credit Suisse. Nobody wants to buy their debt. Nobody wants to insure their debt.
And they've already been selling stuff.
The credit default swaps on Credit Suisse have, in a quite humorous turn, people are talking about how they're down from something like 340 to something like 320, as opposed to being 240 when we last reported the story, and 57 basis points at the very beginning of the year.
So they already sold part of their business in September, which means that if we have, and like not a small part, Credit Suisse sold its global trust business.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, they sold their global trust business. Swiss Bank defended itself against $1 billion plus damage claim involving its trust arm in Singapore. Credit Suisse said it would sell its Singapore trust business, along with the Bahamas and Guernsey. So apparently that alone was not enough to cover this, right?
Well, that's part of this Credit Suisse is part of they are currently undergoing a massive restructuring, at least since July. And so that's also part of it. But yes, if Credit Suisse wants to stay afloat, even by their own everything's fine admission, they are going to have to sell off a significant number of assets.
Yes. So the immediate cause was literally that they had too much. So between Credit Suisse and Deutsche Bank, as we mentioned the other night, they had 4.6 times as much debt as Lehman Brothers. Or about $2.6 trillion. Which is a lot of fucking money.
That is a lot of money. Yes, Michael. Okay. Pocket change cap. I wish.
So the restructuring could save the bank.
It certainly the problem is that like the issues with Credit Suisse have been very long standing, and so the restructuring is not even related to this most recent series of tumbles. So most of the news that's being reported on Credit Suisse has nothing to do with the actual fundamentals of the company, it would seem like, but just to underscore the complete lack of investor respect in the company, like the reputation of Credit Suisse as a whole. It seems like nobody has any faith in the company, and so doesn't want to actually buy any of their bonds. insure any of their bonds or to do any business with the company at all. And so that ultimately could be what kills Credit Suisse. These sorts of like horror stories, even if they are to some degree not strictly based on the fundamentals, although in this case they are, it could be self-fulfilling.
For reference, Credit Suisse's analysts had to downgrade Credit Suisse. Which, like, on the one hand is responsible investment practice and, like, responsible credit rating practice.
Do you know what the ratings were?
So they use it's like a buy, neutral, sell system. They went from buy to sell.
Oh, they went on the actual. Okay. Like the actual like the trading view kind of rating system. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my god.
Now, for anyone keeping score at home, you do not want to be on the sell list.
You do not, because that means people sell your stock. And that means the stock price is going down.
Deutsche Bank might not be a bad investment right now.
Should we get in on it?
So Deutsche Bank is going to bounce back. Credit Suisse might not.
Mm-hmm. But if you're a real gambler, go for it.
Yeah, I did see someone say that Deutsche Bank is currently the world's bravest buy.
I think Credit Suisse would be a braver buy.
Or yeah, Credit Suisse is the world's bravest buy. We absolutely will. Like, we do enough finance reading that, like, we're not going to be your stockbroker, but, like, we can give you enough tips that, like, we can help you out a little bit.
Yeah. You should invest in the podcast, first of all.
Absolutely. Everyone should invest in the podcast. If you like what we do and you respect what we do, follow, subscribe, give to our Patreon.
All right, so this is going to be a short stream tonight because Michael is sick and I am not entertaining enough to get all of you on my own. So we are going to move on to probably the topic Michael knows the most about so that we can let him have his bow out if he needs to. We're going to move on to Hurricane Ian. In the Americas, the death toll for the destructive Hurricane Ian surpasses 102 people, as rescue crews continue to go door to door in hopes of finding survivors. Hurricane Ian hit the state of Florida last Wednesday. Is that correct?
Yes. So when Hurricane Ian was approaching, I made a thread on Twitter where I pointed out several problems with the response plan. Don't invest in any coins or NFTs, please.
No, Timber coin sounds like a great idea. I don't know.
The only coin that I have any money in is the one that Brave gives me for free. I'm still hoping it takes off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Michael uses some special browser that makes him look at ads, and he gets paid 80 cents a month in shitcoin.
No, I don't know how much it's not the same every month.
Well, how much was it this month?
Last month was $1.12. It averages to 80 cents a month.
That's the price. Now let me ask you, chat. If all internet browsers had ads and you could buy a little extension that would remove ads for $1.12, would you do it?
If I don't feel like seeing ads, I just go on Chrome.
I don't think it's worth it.
Suda uses Brave too.
You fucking unemployed bastards. Of course he does. Okay, Hurricane Ian. Sorry, go ahead.
So Hurricane Ian, when it was approaching, I made a Twitter thread where I made several comments about the situation as it stood and as I saw it shaping up to be in the coming days, specifically related to the government response to Hurricane Ian. Unfortunately, I am proving to be correct. Which, like, not in like a joyful "I told you so" way, but in an "I studied Katrina for a long time" kind of way, and things were not shaping up to be significantly different. Uh, Other than the levies, of course. But like a lot of what we are seeing is a direct result of bad government planning. It is not so. Anyone who listened to me on New Frankfurt School, we have an episode where I made the comment once that there is no act of God that is a natural disaster without human influence. That is still true. In this case, it looks like intentionally sealing people into the Florida Keys without letting them escape as the hurricane approaches. It looks like locking people on an island outside of Fort Myers who were trying to get to shelters because you closed the bridge, so that means that they can't leave. It looks like failing to develop an emergency response plan at all or providing emergency transportation for people. I kind of made a joke about it last time, but it is deadly serious. The state of Florida's entire emergency response vehicle system was not activated. It wasn't even moved. They didn't move a single one of them. Instead of that, they offered everyone a $30 credit for Uber. Now, what do we know about Uber? Uber's prices increase based on the amount of need they have. That $30 might literally be nothing. Like, it might not even cover the cost of your Uber. And number two, Uber drivers have to be present to drive you somewhere. There has to be a driver for an Uber to work.
Mm-hmm.
The problem with this is that this means that we have more people who have to wait in Florida for the hurricane to hit. Who, depending on which side of the bridge you're on at which fucking minute, might now be cut off from their families or friends or safety. You're right. Uber drivers can swim, and also they are well known for being able to build very sturdy security structures out of twigs and berries.
Well, this is also a good chance to talk about the, economics of Uber and why this, particular disaster was just an excellent opportunity to make great use of this kind of like exploitative system. So if there was a cab company that said all of these cab drivers have to go to the Florida Keys in the middle of a hurricane and drive people out, that might be seen as some kind of, grave overstep on part of the company just to try and make money from that.
But in fact, in New York City, it would absolutely not happen because they're unionized.
Exactly. A lot of cab companies, I should say, are unionized. But for something like Uber, it's a kind of gig economy app. So it's really, it is quote unquote up to the individual to decide if they want to participate in that kind of like operation, which effectively means that it will be whoever is absolutely most desperate to take that kind of business.
Yes. It relies on some people being starving in order for other people to get to safety, who can afford to get to safety using Uber, who likely also don't have a car, or have, debatably the most offensive group would be people who have a car and just don't want to have to drive themselves there. But the group of people who don't have a car, but who are just barely able to afford an Uber, will use that.
No, it's
effectively hitting people against each other.
It's an absolutely monstrous application of gig economy privatization.
They also did not open any government shelters. Instead, they contracted Expedia to turn hotels into shelters for them.
bizarre. Are you there?
Yep. They also asked Expedia to kindly ask the hotels if they would excuse their guests so that people could bring them, but it was not mandatory for them to do so. Now, one would imagine that if we were trying to responsibly keep people safe, we would probably just let them bring their fucking dog or cat, because people are more likely to leave if you do.
So, are there any examples of hotels that didn't expressly forbid pets then?
I haven't seen much discussion about it.
Mm-hmm.
I know that it was a significant issue during Katrina where they would just turn people away because of their pet. Which, first of all, must have been horrific for the people involved at every step. Like, it must have been horrific for the people who had to do that, but it also must have been absolutely dog shit terrible for, like, the actual human beings who are sitting behind the counter having to be like, hey, I know you just lost everything, but my boss says I'm fired if you bring your dog in. Such an insane fucking thing to have to tell a person, right?
Mm-hmm.
The state of Georgia did absolutely nothing except offer a small business loan and whether or not your business gets damaged. But hey, if you live in one of the 6 coastal counties of Georgia, your small business will be safe. Don't worry. I'm pretty far inland in South Carolina. I didn't even literally it rained for a couple hours last night. Nothing happened here. The coast, I have no idea what it looks like. I know they evac Charleston.
Yeah, Houston has been pretty lucky as far as hurricanes go for the past couple years, so
Yeah.
it's been a long time.
My uncle was in Fort Myers, though.
Oh.
He lives there.
Do you have any stories to tell about that?
So he still doesn't have power, so I haven't been able to speak to him. His phone died, like, as the storm was, like 3 hours after the storm ended. So he had talked to my dad. Just to, like, let him know that he was okay. But that was really it. He's a bartender down there. It's a family industry.
All right.
I'm sure his bar's not open right now. So,
as we said, the death toll is only climbing. The most recent estimate that we have had our hands on is 102.
Yeah,
that would
and
be
it will
direct deaths from the storm.
The death toll will never fully be accurate. If what we know from the past is continuing to hold about the United States government, which is that the U.S. still says that there were 1,000. Well, so the U.S. government officially says that there are like 800 deaths in Katrina. The next lowest count is 1,833. The like normal counts usually put it between 4,000 and 6,000. So we can probably tack an extra 50 to 100 on to that 100 already.
All right. So you think that the death count should be... What would be your estimate if you had one? Or
150, probably, as we know it right now. I would like to point out that Cuba, which is a much smaller country who is under a U.S. embargo, simply by responding to the hurricane ahead of time, right? So not responding, but preempting, managed to limit their death toll to 2.
And we imagine that there's a more robust series of social programs and just infrastructure that's generally directed for the welfare of the people to mitigate the remaining consequential deaths or injuries. to person
Yes.
or otherwise. Yeah.
And the people who get injured will be able to get medical treatment and afford it. They won't go bankrupt from it. There will be 0 cases of medical bankruptcy as a result of this hurricane.
And the best part is after they get all that assistance, they can sit back and roll a big fat Cuban and enjoy it. Shifting now to the United Kingdom, where we look again at the muck and mire that is the Truss cabinet. So there was that's a segue, isn't it?
I fucking love Elizabeth Truss.
She is. I feel like give it enough time, she might inspire like a kind of like weird Elizabeth Holmes style like girl boss, cult of personality. Oh my god, I loved her so much.
I'm pro Elizabeth Holmes too. I think she is fucking great. She should keep scamming other billionaires out of their money, and I'll keep supporting that.
I love that she has the fake deep voice, because I think to myself, wow, she's just like me. If you listen to the podcast enough, you can hear me correct myself to speak from the diaphragm and get my voice back to its main resonance. But in any case, you have seen probably the report, really the demand from the United Nations that is asking central banks across Europe and the West to quit with the rate hikes. Because the rate hikes threaten to push us farther and deeper into a recession. Which is it is specifically funny in the United Kingdom because this push-pull has already been happening for so long.
It's honestly incredible to tell them not to raise the rates right now. England is still at 2.5%. 2.25.
2.25, yes.
Neutral is considered 2.5. At the very least, England should be at 2.5. Like on a normal day, just walking around. 2.5.
What is the Fed at?
Ooh, high 4.
Now the Fed, the United States Federal Reserve, is probably going to be on the much higher end of all of these central banks, because they have been going balls deep in an effort to protect the dollar, which is why you've heard a lot of these stories about the dollar doing really well against the euro, the dollar doing really well against the pound, like uncharacteristically well for most of these currencies.
Okay, we're actually not that high.
3.25, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
There we go. So we are above neutral. The United Kingdom has stopped right now, I believe, at 2.25%. That was the last interest rate increase that we saw.
So yes, the reason I thought it was 4 is because they were expecting to be at 4 to 4.75 by the end of the year.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So this is a very interesting. Oh, happy Yom Kippur! How about that?
Happy Yom Kippur.
Very nice. And yeah, it kind of. It's a bad look to shoehorn that into the finance section, but all right. But in any case. So
on the other hand, like, this is a finance stream. There's only so much we can do about that.
That's true. Well, it's not. It's finance and international politics. International affairs.
We're going to do it during the Japan having a bomb launched over its section? Because that doesn't...
Oh yeah, happy Yom Kippur.
What section are we supposed to put it in? What is our happy holidays section of the chat?
You're in it.
Yeah.
All right. So Liz Truss has had to walk back the probably most egregious and offensive neo-Thatcherite part of her current package, her current fiscal package, which is, as you recall, not a budget. They can't call it one.
Yes, legally not allowed to call it a budget because they did not submit it to the Budget Oversight Agency, which is a thing in England.
Previously,
you have to do to call it a budget.
Previously, the fiscal plan called for a cut in the top bracket tax rate from 45% to 40%. Mm-hmm. That is now no longer the case. So it would appear that the most offensive part of that she has decided to roll back in order to maintain some level of goodwill among Tory MPs, which it's probably too late for, so she should just fucking go for it. Is the part where you massively like neuter the ability of the United Kingdom to bring in some real revenue, sacrificing revenue that they are already bringing in. Rather, is a better way to put it.
The Tory MPs already hate her because she is the first politician. So this is the first time since Tony Blair that Labour has been out and out more popular amongst the public than the Tories. Not like individual politicians, but Labour as a whole is now preferable to the average British person than the Conservative Party. Which, on an island where people seem to make up racial slurs for fun, impressive.
It's also Turf Island, so that's another thing.
And they have a pedophile for a prince.
Hey.
At least one. No. So their budgets are called budgets when the Budget Oversight Administration has gone through the budget. The Budget Oversight Administration then reviews it and puts their little stamp of approval on it and says, yep, that's a budget.
This will not bankrupt the country, so we're good.
Right. So instead of calling it a budget, they kept calling it either a quote-unquote fiscal event or a mini budget. It's not a budget. It's a mini budget. It was actually more sweeping and expansive than any budget in the past 2 decades. But that's not the point. Mini budget.
A mini budget is also what this stream runs on.
Yes. In the same way that, like, the Titanic was a small boat.
Well, this is actually a mini budget. It's some would call it shoestring, though.
No, we're on starvation budget. That's a different thing.
Okay, yeah, we're not even on shoestring. We're on starvation budget. I have not eaten today, so.
I have.
Oh, good for you. Fucking bougie piece of shit. It's to have food.
I also have to roll my own cigarettes, Hayes. This is how I afford to eat.
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
I roll my own cigarettes. Where do I get the tobacco?
The smoke shop. That's literally where I go. Like, I just go to a place, like a tobacco store. And you can buy, like, pretty nice, pretty good tobacco for, like, fucking $15 a bag.
Can I cut it with, like, maybe, what if I start cutting my cigarettes with, like, I don't know, like pencil shavings?
So Suda does it with tea.
Oh, that's interesting.
He also advocated for me to start dipping my...
Honestly, I would try it. I know the joke you're trying to make, which is that Suda is an effete British person, but still, I would try it. I'm more intrigued by it than I am, like...
So, I'm anti that only because I don't like the taste of lavender, really.
Oh, well, you know.
Like,
it's your own bad taste, my friend.
Like, I would dip my cigarettes in elderflower.
Okay.
It's not like a lack of me being a fat. It's...
I thought about me soaking, like, my filters in, I don't know, maybe some, like, mint extract. If they ever ban menthols. I don't know if that would work, though.
Well, you would still need the fiberglass, so...
The what?
Menthol cigarettes have fiberglass?
They have fiberglass?
Yeah, it's why you can't be an astronaut and smoke menthol cigarettes.
Where do they keep it? Is it in the filter?
So I actually have no idea. I have just always been told this, and I assume it to be true, and now I refuse to live in a world where it's not, so I'm not going to look it up myself.
I'm looking this up.
That said, I used to smoke menthols. I smoked Newport Hundreds for years. So.
Fiberglass is not used in menthol cigarettes. That is, no, Michael, you're going to feel really bad about this. The myth, apparently, so the idea is that you inhale miniature fiberglass, which cuts up your mouth, and that gives you the cool sensation.
Oh, that's very dumb.
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
No, it's because it's mentholated. Mint is cold.
Yes. Now that we live in a world with, like, menthol vapes, I feel like everybody knows that. It's menthol that gives you that throat hit that's very cool.
they never done a shot of Rumple Mints?
Dropper of mint breath oil into the end of a filter. Okay, I'll take it.
So, Stream, if we did a subscriptions for shots system.
Oh my god. Yes.
To try to raise some funds.
Fuck it. If you subscribe right now, I'll take a shot. I'll go find something.
I'm already drinking.
Yeah, that's why it doesn't work with you, because they're just like, well, I could just save my money and he's gonna drink anyway.
No, like I will also still drink my normal drinks. I'll just also do shots with them.
If you do one shot, you're gonna do a second without even being asked. I just know it.
You're really getting 2-for-1 deals with me. All around. All sorts of 2-for-1 deals around here. Also,
why buy the cow when the milk is free?
Right.
It's Cynical's just subscribed for 6 months in a row. Fuck it.
Yep, I'll go get one. I killed my bottle.
Oh, we got 2 now, huh? All right, hold on. I didn't get a second shot glass.
What do you mean a second shot glass?
Well, I was gonna do 2 shots because we did have 2 subscribers.
You can just pour them into the same glass.
Yeah. There we go.
Cheers.
That's what I found. Cheers. Woo! Oh, that's shit.
Can't relate. Fun fact, everyone. If you like Grand Marnier, buy this instead.
Mike, I have the feeling this is a really bad idea.
I have a feeling this is a really good idea.
Yep. You're gonna find out how much of a lightweight I am. I don't even drink, and I tasted that. I gotta do it again. Is that the affordable? I have no idea. This is what I had in the cabinet. My dad bought this liquor.
What is it?
It's in a plastic bottle. It's Kentucky Gentleman.
I like Kentucky Gentleman.
Can't relate. It's okay. I mean, it's not that bad. It's just, I don't know.
So
I like bourbon with like a good classic mixed drink. Harlequin, orange liqueur.
So it is made exactly the same way as Grandma.
I've got some fucking peach schnapps if we want to be gay over here.
It's Grand Marnier, bro.
I don't. Oh, no, yeah, no, it's good.
Yeah,
orange liqueur is good.
You're bad mouthing my cognac.
I don't know. I feel bad about what I'm drinking. That's all. Sobriety is bourgeois. Hey, cheers. Mike, where's your second? Did you already do 2 shots?
No, I did 1.
2 people subscribed.
I just want. All right, fuck it.
You're the one who suggested this.
I know.
You vomited and then immediately but you were already drinking. You vomited and immediately went back to drinking.
There's a difference between pouring myself a mixed drink and like doing a shot. Because now I'm gonna have to get a beer.
Yeah, Mike vomited before the stream. All right, let me know when you're ready. And now we will pivot into the story about the North Korean missile. In Asia, North Korea test fires a ballistic missile over the nation of Japan, sending citizens in Tokyo into panic and prompting condemnation from neighboring countries in the region. The North Korean missile flew for approximately 600 miles and went over the island of Honshu. Evacuations and emergency messages began in the very south of Japan, including in the city of Tokyo. Oh, this is fun. U.S. and South Korea test fire missiles in continued response after North Korea launch. So that has been the actual response. They have simply fired missiles of their own. It's like two guys just popping off shots in the alley. That's crazy. Reminds me of living in Third Ward. Now, those stories are fun. That should dissuade. Maybe. Are you ready yet?
All right, so I was just informed that if we have one more person subscribe, we will start a hype train. I don't know what the fuck that means.
What's a hype train? Does that mean we do body shots or what?
Oh, is it too late now? God damn it. Laura, why didn't you tell me earlier?
Lazda, why didn't you say anything?
L'chaim.
L'chaim.
Fuck's sake.
The second one's not as bad. Oh, wait, there's still some left.
Oh,
weak.
Laura, I don't know what a hype train is.
Lazda, what's a hype train?
That's my girlfriend. She's watching in the family room.
I know who it is.
I was letting other people know.
Laura, how'd I do when I was going solo? It was bad.
She wasn't watching.
Good call. I'll tell you next time. What do you mean next time? Wait. Mike, you can't leave me. Well, if you leave me, I have to turn this into... If you leave me, I have to turn this into, like, Nightly News with Brian Williams. So I have to have a full script. I have to have an intro. And I'm just going to read off the script. And I can do it.
I really do, baby. Remember the other night when Laura wasn't here? That guy was really trying to get us to fuck.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, try it again tonight. See what happens. I'm actually curious.
Phil was here for that.
Yeah, Phil.
Yeah, England's a shit show.
We're talking about North Korea now.
Oh, I missed that. I was getting my shot.
That's true. Would you like to hear what I found? That was very funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so the U.S. and South Korea have pledged a serious response to the problem of North Korean missiles. And do you know what they did? They launched missiles of their own in response. That was their very serious response to North Korean missiles.
Why?
Because their dick is bigger. And it's very girthy.
Yeah. So I guess the issue is that this is the longest range test missile they have, because usually they don't even, like, pause anything when this happens.
Oh, yeah. Suda reminded us we have to change we're not going on Wednesday anymore. Not for this week.
Yeah. I'll change that.
Michael, it's been a long time since North Korea has actually pursued missile launches like these. These happened to be very commonplace back in 2017 and 2018.
So 6 days ago, there was an article published, North Korea launches ballistic missiles towards sea in second test this week.
Where in the sea?
I do not know.
That's probably important information.
Short-range missiles towards its eastern waters.
So this missile, as I'm told, flew over Japan.
Yes, so this is the longest range test they have done thus far. Which seems to be the significant concern about it.
Oh, I'm starting to feel it. Fuck you.
It wasn't even near Japan, really, the first two. But, who was their vice defense minister, still took the opportunity to make comments about it, of course. said North Korea's repeated missile firings amid Russia's invasion of Ukraine is impermissible. Which
I missed the joke. What was it?
North Korea's missile firings into the sea while Russia is invading Ukraine is bad.
I mean, there are no Ukrainians under the sea, I don't think. Unless they've become crab people.
No, they're just always crabby people.
So are the Russians. Have you ever met one?
Borscht.
You borscht.
Terrible cuisine.
Oh. Come on, man. What are you doing?
Okay,
You
so I had...
You have Lozda in the stream and you're going to say shit like that.
One time when I was like just on Twitter, so like 18, this kid was arguing with me one time about whether or not the Gorbachev era relationship between Cuba and the Soviet Union was exploitative, which he insisted it was not. And he argued that Russia did not need to buy sugar from Cuba because they grow beets.
And they're very sweet.
Yes, that was the core of the argument.
In his defense, they are. They're pretty sweet. They've got a lot of sugar in them. So, you know.
No, he was arguing that you could process beets to make beet sugar.
Maybe? I don't know.
I used to hang out at a Ukrainian club. A lot of the really old Ukrainians there were super cool, and most of them would describe themselves as either Russian or Soviet.
Why would they describe themselves as Russian? Did they speak Russian?
A lot of them were from Eastern Ukraine.
That doesn't answer my question.
So, yes, they considered themselves Russian because they also spoke Russian.
And so they probably did not speak Ukrainian, at least not in daily life. They might have spoken it in terms of like they could speak it, but that wasn't the language that they used in the home.
Correct.
So therefore they are not, so you didn't meet Ukrainians, you met Russians.
Well, they were in a region of the country that is now called Ukraine.
So, okay, that's fair.
Like,
but
I mean, so when their parents left, they were Russian imperial citizens regardless.
wait, so they left
really old.
They left when the country was Russia.
No, so usually it was their parents left when Ukraine was still part of Russia.
And then they were born in the United States.
And then these people were born in the United States. Yes, I
Okay,
did not meet many
well,
people
first of
who
all,
were
that actually
before
makes them
1960.
First of all, that actually makes them American. You should have used skull calipers. Actually, we've gone beyond that, Victor. They have my Jewish friend was showing me. Apparently, they have an app now that just tells you your phenotype, and I've been having so much fun with it.
I haven't tried it yet, but according
You
to
said you. I was gonna say, like, I feel like, you know.
According to the weird racist Southerner I met, who told me that he moved his factories, so his family's plantations and his factories that produce, you know, those little red cloths they use in like mechanic shops. His company made those. So his family has owned plantations in South Carolina for 400 years. He makes a point to mention that.
400.
He says this. Like, I will not know what that means. But obviously I am, like, well aware. And so then, now they all moved all of that production to a special economic zone in Honduras. Specifically because, and I quote, direct from his fucking mouth, the Mexicans got too greedy because they were demanding $7.25 an hour.
$7.25 is a lot of money, Michael. I don't know.
Right, so these people were demanding the legal minimum wage.
Hey, Michael, you don't pay me $7.25 an hour.
I don't get paid $7.25 an hour.
Yeah, we don't get paid $7.25 an hour, so.
I'm here on fucking goodwill and love.
I'm here because I don't have anything fucking better to do.
Also, unemployment. Yeah.
Unemployment. Well, I'm employed is the thing.
You're just severely underemployed.
I'm underemployed. I feel like I'll always be underemployed because I'm such a fucking genius, and no one's gonna make full use of my talents for the rest of my life.
It would be nearly impossible to accurately employ me without me being on the stream of the podcast.
Well, actually, that's not even true. That would only be true if, like, we all lived in the same city, and then after the stream was done, you could make us all drinks. Then you would be adequately employed. We would be making use of your entire skill set.
No, I don't make drinks for people.
Okay. It would only be if after the stream, we went to a bar and then you told the person what drinks to make.
Yeah, I would do that.
Yeah, you would.
I'm an incredibly annoying customer. I know that.
Mike,
I once made someone break out their jiggers for me.
Mike, I'm going to be honest. You've done a lot for me. Yeah, now that I'm a real lightweight, so now that I've had 2 shots, it's like, I don't even want to talk about the news anymore. But I'm just like, Mike, I know that you've done a lot for me, but I've also done a lot for you. And so if you ever wanted to show your kindness, I think it would be really cool if you would invent a drink and name it after me.
I did that for someone on Twitter one time. I think I also made a drink for you. That was my last account, the one before Brother Cultist.
Okay. Well, if you ever figure out what it was, let me know.
And tweeted and was like, if you tell me, like, you know, I'll tell you what, like it, and I'll tell you what fucking drink you should try.
Okay, so I'm not going to make you invent the drink tonight, but just tell me this much. If it was, like, what base, like, liquor would you use for me? Gin. You didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
It was just immediate. I like that. Whenever the stream ends, I'm going to get some Whataburger and I'm going to enjoy the fuck out of it.
We're not allowed to have fast food here.
Laura, Lazda.
I always accuse Laura of not letting me have things.
Laura, is that true? Beet sugar is a thing. Victor said that. I should address that.
Yeah, but like, how many beet products do you really want to have?
You make me sound awful. I'm going to be on... oh my god. Whenever I look at the stream and I look at my face, I'm just like, oh my god, I look like shit.
So I think it's...
Like, my eyes have that droop.
I think it's funny to make Laura sound worse than she is. Laura is actually the best person on earth. She is incredible. She supports me all the time. And
I think Laura is the best woman on earth, but I'm the best man on earth, and then if you compare us both, we're tied. You know? No?
I've never once...
No, you know what? That started after the double shot. Yeah, the eyes drooping, yeah.
So our last topic, we're still covering.
We're not. We're done with
No,
North
we're not.
Korea. We're not
Are
done?
we?
It's about to be an
I don't know.
hour. How
I'm gonna
much?
be honest, like, there's not much to say about it. Like, they shot a missile.
Yeah, North Korea shot a missile. It was really big.
Yeah, it was super huge, super thick, and it really pounded into the sea.
And the sea was so wet,
Yeah, the sea was real wet.
if that's what you're going for.
Yeah, no, that was the joke.
Why do missiles have to be phallic symbols, Michael? Why can't they invest more money into landmine bombs, you know? Stuff that's buried with very feminine energy. Why does it all have to be phallic?
I don't know, fucking call it working and ask her.
I will. I know someone who has I know a couple people who have Dworkin anthologies. One of them has a heart around her name. And that was a fun topic of conversation.
Wait, has a heart around Dworkin's name?
Yes. Oh, they were a big fan of Dworkin back in the day.
So we actually talked about landmines on one of our streams.
Look at that. Feminine energy winning the day. Holy
no,
shit.
It was not on. No, it definitely wasn't feminine energy from that fucker.
Well, hold on. Watch yourself. Are you saying
No.
women can't commit war crimes?
No, I'm saying that Hekmatyar Gulbuddin definitely does not support women.
That's true. Wet ass
we were talking
specific.
On our podcast, we were talking about Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, who was the leader of my mic needs to be louder. This is new.
I got you. Go ahead.
Hello.
There you. What was it doing over there? What the fuck? Why was the microphone over there? You have to. Do you see my mic? It's direct address. It's right fucking here.
This is the only way that I'm not too loud for everyone.
I could. You are now at 48% volume, and I'm at like 130. So speak now. Go ahead. See, you are like, I am probably drowning you right now. Now that I'm admin and I'm always watching the levels, we're good. Oh my God, I'm such a lightweight. I haven't eaten all day, Michael.
Okay.
Fuck it. Sorry. What were you going to say? Something about Hackmitar? By the way, watch the podcast. Listen to the podcast. It's on Spotify. Mike is really smart on it. Sometimes I say something cool, but usually not.
I'm pulling it up now. I'm going to link everyone.
See, this is why we can't do shots for subscribers, because I'm having a third shot anyway. I don't even care. Food is important.
I'll have to get a...
Food is important. You're not my girlfriend, Luzda. Tell that to Mike. Mike, just like me, he doesn't eat sometimes. He needs to hear it. He's much better. I'm glad, actually.
Yeah, I almost always eat at least 2 meals a day now. Sometimes one, but...
Very, very nice. Why is the host making us look at analytics? Or is that you?
That's me. Fuck. Wrong link.
Everybody go look at our analytics.
Fucking... I mean,
the audacity of suggesting food. Victor, a fellow ED enthusiast. I like to see it.
We always want another teammate.
Mike was the one who suggested I get drunk, so...
that is not what I suggested. I would point that out.
Mike sees how much of a lightweight I am. That's why he supports me, so I like it. What's the login?
op.timber.sycamore@gmail.com.
I almost... Oh my god. I can highlight a chat? Wait, no. Highlight... Can I highlight this? Yeah, I can highlight a chat if I want. Okay. Oh my god, it always... I had a yogurt, quesadilla, and Cheez-Its today? That sounds delicious.
But... that is our real email.
Send us an email.
Yeah, send us an email. You can also send it to contact@timbersycamore.live. Forwards automatically.
You can do that. My, can I not highlight it? Oh my god. I'm terrible at admin. I'm sorry. I was gonna have like a bunch of, Do you have a website? We do have a website. Thank you, Luzda. We have timbersycamore.live, where we stream all of this. I assume most of you are watching right now on the Culture Live.
You can check. If you click the 14 at the top of the screen, or just mouse over it, it'll pop up where everyone's watching from.
We have currently 11 people watching from the Culture Live Twitch, 2 from the Culture.tv on YouTube, and 1 from Timber Sycamore on Twitch. Is that you, Luzda?
Yes.
Yes. Loyalty. I love to see it. So cool. If I drink anymore, I'm gonna turn into you know who. So I'm gonna stop.
I don't know which who that would be. Oh.
Who do you think it is? Yes. I'm gonna get real spacey. Or I'm gonna say something just completely awful. So I want to avoid both of those for your sake.
And
now for
it's about time for wrap up.
It is about time to wrap up. It's been about an hour.
And Hayes did not play the video at the beginning of this.
What video?
The Timber Sycamore video.
Yes, I did.
Was I just not paying attention? That's possible.
That is entirely possible. Mike is sick. He has decided to take 2 shots anyways. I have
And-
revealed that I was the weak link instead
and
of him.
remember, everybody,
It's a podcast for alcoholics. Alcoholism makes you a better writer. It doesn't really make you a better reader, though, so maybe I should quit it a little bit.
and this has been another episode of Proxenos, presented by Timber Sycamore, presented by the Culture.
This has been a very, very slapdash episode, but I promise you next week, I've been talking to Michael. I really want to get like a nice intro going, a nice like news graphic going, and to have something to have a little bit more structure here. So we're working on it, but because we've been recording 2 episodes of Timber Sycamore, which are typically an hour or an hour and a half. I'm recording 2 of those every single week and doing all of the research for it. So hopefully as that starts to cool off, I can work a little bit more on this project and make it as good as it can be.
The good news, guys, is we only have 1 more week of recording every goddamn week. And then we will have a full month of backlog, and we can go down to recording every 2 weeks. Then I just have to get our pre-edited episodes up to 1 month of backlog. And I'll be able to start editing 1 episode a week.
Michael does a lot of work for the podcast. And you all should follow him on Twitter. That's Prolet Cultist. He posts a lot of good threads. Holy shit. He posts a lot of good threads.
Also, remember to like, follow, subscribe, join the Discord. If you appreciate the work that we do, donate to the Patreon. I don't care. As long as
Do we have a Patreon?
we do. Both we do not. Timber Sycamore does not.
That's what I was at. The Culture TV, which is not just me and Michael, but like a lot of other really, really good people, really cool people,
Like
are also
Victor,
producing
Vic Intel up
content.
there.
Like Victor, who has been in the chat, and I appreciate that. They do a lot of really good work. You should subscribe to that Patreon, and you should support that. You should support that project.
And we love you all and appreciate your time. And this has been your weekly roundup.
I cannot drink anymore.
Proxenos.
I'm going to make some fake bourbon so I don't have to drink anymore because I don't think I can do this.